everyone. This is going to be a short mini tutorial slash class on different movements that help to create space and openness in the hips. These are tools that I use myself and with clients all the time to just give them relief from chronic hip gripping, tightness, and to just improve general hip mechanics and mobility. So this is a great place to start. We'll build on this later in some other videos, but for now, I would recommend having a block or something similar. You can have a stack of books around a similar height, just anything that gives you a little bit of lift. We'll need it for a couple exercises throughout the video. But for now, I want you to just come onto a nice all fours position. Pad up the knees if you need to at any point. We're going to start with the legs completely together. So in the back, you're going to see knees, feet, shins are going to touch. Hands under the shoulders. And I want you to just first find a nice lift through the toes. They're just going to take a little hover off the floor. You're going to start to turn the feet away from each other, feeling how your thighs start to rotate inward. And you're just going to close the feet, and we're going to take that a couple times. Okay, so something I'll talk about often with kind of restoring hip mechanics is just this ability to create internal rotation will help us to create spread across the back of the hips. Right? So just kind of trust the process here, that as we open up the feet, we're allowing the sits bones and the bones that kind of meet our sacrum to spread and widen. Okay? We're going to go a little deeper into this now. You're going to open up the feet and just set them down at a spot that feels, sustainable to you. And you're going to try to point the tailbone straight back behind you. So imagine your tailbone was like a flashlight. It was shining to the wall behind you rather than curling down like this. That would be more of a posterior tilt. So once we find that kind of shining back, I want you to gently shift the hips back, only going as far as you can maintain your tailbone pointing straight back. And then you're going to come forward. So now what we're doing is deepening this opening in the back of your pelvis. So for some of us, that might feel like a stretch right away. For others, we might have to kind of concentrate on where that tailbone is pointing so we open up as much space as possible. Okay, so you can either keep this at a nice continuous rock. If you want to hold at the bottom of the stretch and take a couple breaths to really live into that, be my guest. It can feel really nice and also really unfamiliar. Maybe this is a position you haven't really explored much. Right, we're going to take that a couple more times. Okay. On this last one, it's just going to be a little baby hold here. And I want you to, again, really direct your tailbone back. Right? Lengthen as much as possible. Shine your heart forward. And just take a nice breath in. See how low you can send your inhale. Like you're trying to breathe into the very tip of your tailbone. And then exhale. Nice and long. Okay, one more time. We inhale through the nose. And we exhale long through the mouth. Perfect. Now from here, we're going to close the feet and we're going to come down to a little side lying position. So I'm going to start lying on my right side. If you want to start here, your block could be under your head for support, or you could just use your arm or your elbow. Right, I'm going to have the block under my head. I'm going to start with the knees and hips at a roughly 90-degree angle, right? Just in this general area. I want you to feel your head, your rib cage, and your pelvis just stacked under one another. And we're going to take this top hip and just give it a very gentle kind of press away, so you just feel a little bit of space underneath this right side of your body. Okay? Just a little, it's perfect. We're going to flex through the feet. We're going to float this top leg up to the sky. Now, I want your top hand, in this case the left, to press into kind of the bottom of your outer thigh, nearing your knee. Once you've found this press, I want you to really feel your hand push pushing into your leg and your leg pushing into your hand. And kind of find this moment where it's like, oh, things are actually working here. I feel some stuff happening in the outside of my hip. Once you've arrived at that point and there's a little bit of tension that you've generated, I want you to continue pushing up with your knee, and eventually your hand is going to win, right? So you're lowering the leg down, but you're doing it with so much resistance, right? You keep resisting by pressing your knee up towards the sky as your hand wins, so your legs will eventually touch, and then you're going to relax and float back up. And we'll take that again. We press the thigh up towards the sky, the top hand wins, and smushing that left leg down, right? You keep smushing all the way till you reach the bottom, and then it's just like light as a feather, lift the leg up, okay? So this is just a nice way to eccentrically train a lot of the muscles that are kind of wrapping around your outer thigh, wrapping into the lateral hip, and up into the back of the hip, right? You might feel kind of a sense of those tissues spreading as your leg gets lower and lower. It might be really, really challenging to maintain that resistance as you get closer to the bottom leg. In the event, we just try our best. We don't have to force anything. I would say a sign you're going too hard is if your face is like, you know, doing some interesting things. If your jaw is clenched, if you're really like, you know, shrugged up in your shoulders, tone it down a little, go like 75% is perfect. Okay, 2 more of these. Wow, that's hard, yeah, so it can be a lot on that outer hip. We're trusting the process. It is so, so good for us. It's like, think of a figure 4, but on another level, right? A whole another level. Okay, we're gonna relax. I want you to take that block and just set it under your feet. If you had a second block, you could keep that under your head. I do not right now, so I'm just gonna support my head like so. We're gonna keep that rough kind of 90-90 position with our hips and our knees, and we're gonna stack the feet up on top of that yoga block. Again, just a little reach of the top hip away, and we're gonna start to kind of find our top hand on the front of your left hip point here. Just kind of feel around until you feel that like bony, prominent area. Once you find it, you're gonna think of taking that hip bone all the way out to this kind of top of the knee. We're gonna slide the whole piece forward, right? So that your left knee is now ahead of your right. And then all you're gonna do is think of a sawing motion. You're gonna saw that leg back, pull it so that the left knee goes behind the right, okay? So we saw forward, feeling that the pelvis is turning towards the floor a little bit, the belly button is turning towards the floor, and then we saw that leg back, like we're just drawing that thigh up into its socket, right? We're gonna do that for 3 more here, right? Pull forward, and then plug it back. So this is introducing a really important movement, a hip shift, right? This is gonna come in very handy throughout your life. Okay. Now, we're gonna take that reach forward. I want you to just reach so that your belly button's turned towards the floor. Your left knee is a little bit ahead of your right. I want you to keep reaching forward and just do like the tiniest clamshell of your life. So your knee is reaching forward and then it's going slightly up, right? Knees reaching forward and going up, right? The going forward is more important than the going up in this instance, right? We are getting some deep, deep, deep hip rotator, glute med fun in this variation, right? And we're doing so without compressing and overly clenching the posterior pelvis. So really good variation on this movement. It's very hard. We're gonna do like 3 more of these. Again, we care about keeping the hip shift and reaching the leg forward to go up, right? For 2. Oh my God, the last one is gonna be a lift and hold at the top for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Let yourself fully relax, and then we'll take that over to the other side. up with you. Again, optional block under the head. I'm going to use it for now. We're going to stack ourselves up. I'm on the left side. We've got that nice 90-degree angle of the hips, 90-degree angle of the knees. Flex those feet. Send the top hip away just a hair. Find that little bit of space under the bottom side body. We're going to lift up that right leg towards the ceiling. Right hand comes to kind of that lower outer thigh region, whatever gives you some good leverage. You're going to push your leg into your hand, and you're going to push your hand into your leg. And I want you to just create this moment where you hold that contraction. I want you to feel some work first, right? And I want you to keep pressing that right leg into your hand as your hand slowly presses you down. Okay? And then you lift up and just allow it to relax. We go again. Press up with the thigh. Hand is smushing down. Right? On this one, while we're doing some hard work, I find it helpful to visualize, wow, like as we're going lower and lower, think of how much really nice space we are making in the side of that hip and the back of the hip. It really just makes it all worth it. It's going to feel so, so good, right? So good in the long term. Yeah. So often we're building strength in our glutes in a way that is very, very compressive to the pelvis. And this is doing the opposite of that. This is building strength in a way that is opening you up, freeing up some space for your bones and your joints and your tissues to glide much more efficiently. It feels really, really good. Okay? So trusting the process. And again, just a reminder, if you feel yourself like going into super tense territory, face is clenching, shoulders are really elevated, right? Just give yourself permission to do 75% effort, and that effort can get larger over time, right? But we want to maintain balance in the body as we're finding these new positions. Okay, last one. Cool. We're going to take that block under the feet. Right, so a little lift for the feet. Stack them up. Okay, we've got our, 90-ish, 90 position at the knees and the hips. I'm going to support my head like so. We're going to, again, check in with that top hip. Just give it a little reach away. And then I want your feet to remain stacked. We're going to take that top hip bone here and just allow it to slide forward. Your right knee, your right thigh, your right hip are coming forward ahead of the left. And then like a little suctioning back. You pull the hip back, you pull your right thigh into its socket. Okay. If you are doing this exercise thinking, not quite sure where my hip socket is, totally valid, right? A lot of times we're picturing the socket somewhere out here. It's actually much more internal. So what I like to cue people as a visual is kind of think of that sacrum, that broad bone across the back of your pelvis. I almost like to think of, when I pull back, plugging the right thigh bone towards the right side of that sacrum, right? Like it was almost just plugging into the very back of your pelvis. Yeah, so that can be a helpful visual for people, right? Even if you want to take your hand to the back of the pelvis, right along that sacrum, you can kind of imagine your thigh pulling back. The top of your thigh bone is pulling in to the side of that sacrum, more or less, right? These visuals are always just helpful for our brain to start to map new sensations in the body. But you find what works for you. Okay, last slide back here. And then on the next shift, we bring that thigh forward. We hold the forward hip shift. Remember, belly button towards the floor, a little bit of a spin in the pelvis, and we just take the tiniest lift of that top thigh, and then we lower it, thinking of reaching the knee forward and then up a little, right? There should be no hiking
no-ish, right? There's always a little bit of imperfection in the human body, so don't get too obsessed with perfection, but less hiking and less compressing in the back stuff here. So we want to feel a lot of stuff happening deep in the side of the hip, maybe a little bit wrapping into back crease of your glute, possibly. All right, 4 more here. It's like clamshell overdrive, right? Really, really challenging variation for 2. Last one's a hold at the top. We stay there for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. All right. From here, we're gonna come to a tall kneeling position. I'm gonna face the side here so you can kind of see what's going on in the pelvis. Again, we're gonna find a little bit of what we worked on in the first move, but just kind of add to it. I want you to start by just finding a tall position on your knees. Have them up if you need. We're gonna feel kind of where our pelvis is in this position. So for me, I kind of tilt forward a little bit here, right? Totally fine. You may do the opposite, but what we're gonna work on is feeling the front 2 hip points here, drawing up. Imagine you have little suspenders pulling these guys up towards your bottom ribs, right? As best as you can. Get that nice little lift in the front, and try to feel how the tops of your hamstrings here, these guys right under your butt, are helping to pull the back of your pelvis down. And that lift here, down here, is very different than like squeezing your butt in order to achieve a more neutral pelvis, right? So feel kind of pulling up in the front, dragging down in the back with those upper hamstrings. And then we're gonna bring the fingertips right into those hip creases here. We're gonna start to fold right where our fingertips are. So it's almost like your fingertips are trying to disappear. They're going so deep into those creases as you begin to hinge your hips backwards. Now as you reach the bottom, I want you to think about your tailbone shining back, not like this. We're gonna shine it here, and then to come up, we're gonna drive the tops of the feet, shins down into the floor, try to pull ourselves up into that neutral. And then we're gonna repeat that. So we allow the pelvis to tip forward, we create this hinge. And then as we come up, we allow the pelvis to kind of return to more of that stackage. Right? Now, another way to look at this too, hands can go under the little creases of your glutes. As you're going down, I want you to think of pushing those sitting bones, those little bones that are right under your butt, down into your fingertips as you go low. And then you're gonna try to keep pushing those bones into your fingertips as you arrive back to that starting position. Okay, so it's almost like your thigh bones, your sit bones are trying to push towards the backs of your legs, the backs of your hips. Okay, and then you're gonna push up. See if you can hang on to that for as long as you can. Last 2. Right, we're just training our thigh bones to stay more in the back of their sockets. That's where they're happiest. For most of us, they're quite shifted forward. So, if you want a little why are we doing this? That's a good way to think about it. Okay, we come up, we fight for those upper hamstrings, those hip points, and then we relax. Okay, we're gonna take it to standing, and we're gonna work on a little bit of a kickstand hinge, applying all of these concepts, and adding a little bit more now with the lower leg too. So, we're gonna start with the right foot forward, the left foot a little bit back. If we're too far back here, we're not gonna be able to achieve as much of a hinge as we're wanting for this exercise. If we're too close, you know, you might feel a little cramped, right? So just kind of roughly in this middle space, yeah, where the left knee in this case is just slightly behind the right. Left heel's gonna be off the floor. We're going to load the middle of the right foot. So think like the highest point of your arch. I want you to put your weight into that.
That's great. We want that for this exercise. Okay? So we got a little bend in the knee. Our midfoot is loaded. We're gonna take those hands back to the hip creases, and we're gonna start to kind of push the hips back. Very similar to what we just did, but now your challenge is to not let that shin move at all, and that's gonna be hard. Don't let that shin move. And then keep it still, push through the middle of that right foot, come up, see if you can get a little bit of that stacking of the pelvis. Try to bring your hips over the middle of that right foot. We do it again. We're gonna come down, hinge, 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 spread the back of the hips, load into that midfoot. Keep the shin where it is, pull those hips up. Yeah. Bonus, if you can start to incorporate your feet a little bit more, that'll be a separate video where we go more into detail on that, but maybe start to feel all the foot, the heel, and that midfoot really pressing down into the floor. Let them melt and widen as your hips get lower, and then use that bottom of the foot. Push the floor away with that foot as you bring your hips up. Okay, we're gonna do twice more like this. Shin staying still, back of the knee stays still, hips are pulling away. Woo. Okay, last time like this, we're gonna do a little pivot so you can see my next variation. We're gonna hold at the bottom here. All I want you to do, keep your right hand where it is. Place your left hand on your inner thigh for a sec. Now we're not gonna take the knee inward, keep the knee where it is, but just light up your inner thigh into your hand. Find a moment here. Inner thigh muscles contracting, working into that left hand. I want you to keep that. And then just start to reach your left hand slightly across to the outside of that right pinky toe. And then come back. You can do a little elbow pull up, and then we reach. Whew. By adding this rotation, we are now adding more spread into the outside of that right glute. Wow, so good, so challenging. We'll do that for 3 more. Keeping that shin. Where's the shin gone? Hopefully nowhere. 2. Hold at the bottom here. Just give it a little hold. Rotate, reach for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on out of it. Okay, we're gonna take that on the other side. I'm gonna do this way so you can see a slightly different angle on this side. Okay. Got our left foot in front, right foot behind. Right knee, just slightly behind the left, nothing crazy. We're gonna bend into that right knee a little. We're gonna bend into that left knee a little. Shin has now gone forward. Shin is over the middle of your left foot. Over. Okay, we're gonna take the hands to the hips again. Here we go. That middle of your foot is locked into the floor. You're gonna push those hips back. Yeah, did you see my shin trying to move? Let's not do that. And then we're gonna push that foot into the floor and come on up. Ish, yes, so we bend, we push those hips back. Ooh. And then we try to keep the shin where it is roughly, and we pull the hips up, okay? This is my much stickier hip side. You're seeing that it does not want to spread quite as much. There's kind of a point of resistance that I come up against, and that might happen for you too. Right? Just go with it, slow. We've kind of worked on those mechanics, so applying them upright should be a little bit more manageable. Okay, we'll do a few more like this. So when you're at the bottom, your knee and shin are hanging out here. It's like your back of your knee and your sits bone are trying to play tug of war. How far can you pull that sits bone away while keeping the back of your knee the same? Yeah. Melting that left foot into the floor, right? gonna keep that shin a little bit forward. And try to do that so that when we come up, we're not locking out the knee, right? Mostly because then kind of skip the work of really extending, opening the front of the hip. If the knee extends first, sometimes we miss out on some good stuff. Okay, we're gonna hold at the bottom, the next one. So we're gonna stay nice and low, shins a little forward, sits bones playing that game of tug of war, reach back. We're gonna take that right hand, inner thigh, inner thigh. No knee movement, just inner thigh. Find it, feel a little work in there, okay? Once you have that, hold at the bottom. Right arm's reaching across, turn the chest. Elbow pull back, so we have somewhere to go with that arm. We rotate the chest across, more load in that outer hip, find the spread, and up. A few more here. Right, check in with that shin. Check in with where the weight is in your foot, mostly in the middle of that foot. Let's keep it for 3. 2. Last one, a little hold. Rotate. Hold for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on out of it. All right, great work today. If you have any questions about anything we did in this video, feel free to message me or write a comment. Happy to provide any information or modifications as needed. Until next time.